That was really, that was kind of really nice. I'd actually just come off, blown my knee out. So I was just torn my ACL and I'd been out for about 8 months. And there was an old friend of mine who was on the Calgary Stampeders named Stu Laird. And I used to see him at my brother-in-law BJ's gym downtown. And he told me he had a guy who was, I think, the starting linebacker on the Stampeders at that time who was wanting to get into wrestling. Back in those days, if you had football players wanting to get into wrestling, it was usually after they had been cut or they're at the end of the line or it was off season. But this is right at, I think, second or third game into the season. Pillman was like the starting outside linebacker for the Stampeders. And so anyway, I told Stu, bring him down. I met with him at BJ's. And he was like all gung-ho to get into the wrestling and essentially walked away from being starting linebacker on the Stampeders to being a rookie wrestler. And he understood the ring psychology pretty good. He was really kind of big on, he had a bit of personality to him, and he was pretty dedicated. And one of the best things for me at that time is I had some pretty good other young guys that were starting, Owen and Chris Benoit and Jushin Liger and a couple of others. So it was good ambience, and they sort of, learned together, and there was a lot of enthusiasm. And Pillman kind of took off pretty quick. And his personality was, tailor-made for the business. He, in fact, kind of was the guy who taught Steve Austin most of his stuff. And if Pillman had been derailed by the car accident, which ultimately kind of, caused all his leg, and then I think that led to taking painkillers and, ultimately kind of killed him. But, he was sort of a cutting edge, guy that people would probably be talking about today in the same vein as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson or Steve